Marcelo was the perfect picture of success. At 45, he had built a real estate empire, lived in a breathtaking mansion, and drove cars most people only dreamed of. Yet, behind his flawless image and fortune, he felt an inexplicable emptiness. Although his life seemed perfect from the outside, Marcelo couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. One night, while sipping wine on his mansion's terrace, something caught his attention. Across the street, a homeless man was rummaging through a trash can. The scene unsettled him more than he expected. What must he think of me? What do people around me really think of my life? Marcelo wondered. Those questions lingered until he made a bold decision. He would disguise himself as a homeless man to see the world from a completely different perspective. The next morning, Marcelo found old clothes stored away, dirted his face, and put on a worn-out hat. He slipped out of his mansion's back gate, carrying a discreet backpack. He chose a strategic spot, the sidewalk right in front of his own house. He wanted to see how the world treated him without the weight of his wealth and reputation. You want to know where this story is going, don't you? Then before we continue, if you want to help our channel keep bringing amazing stories, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed it, turn on notifications to find out when new videos are posted. On the first day, Marcelo was hit with a harsh dose of reality. People hurried past him without a glance. Some crossed the street to avoid him. Even the security cars patrolling the area ignored him. For the first time, Marcelo felt invisible. The discomfort turned into a vulnerability he had never experienced. That afternoon, a group of children walked past him. One of them stared and, with the blunt honesty of a child, asked, "Why are you dirty?" Marcelo smiled, but before he could respond, a mother pulled the child away quickly. "Don't talk to him," she whispered loudly enough for Marcelo to hear. The words lingered in his mind, a stark contrast to the respect he was used to receiving. On the second day, Marcelo decided to walk to a nearby park where he often jogged in the mornings. There, he encountered a group of homeless people gathered under a tree. After some hesitation, he approached them. An older man, Paulo, offered him a piece of bread. "We don't have much, but we share what we've got," he said. Paulo's generosity moved Marcelo deeply. For hours, he listened to their stories, tales of lives turned upside down by circumstances beyond their control. Marcelo began questioning the fairness of a system that allowed such stark inequality. On the third day, Marcelo returned to his neighborhood and sat once more in front of his mansion. As he observed the activity on the street, he overheard a conversation that shook him. Two men walked by, unaware of who he was. "That Marcelo thinks he owns the world," one said. "Yeah, I heard he kicked a whole family out to build that pool," replied the other. Marcelo had always known some of his business decisions weren't popular, but hearing those words directly struck him in a way he hadn't anticipated. That night, Marcelo decided to explore the surroundings of his mansion. As he neared the back entrance, he overheard two employees talking. They didn't recognize him and spoke freely. "If he only knew how we feel, Maybe he'd change things, one said. He only cares about his money, the other replied. Marcelo felt as if a veil had been lifted. He had always believed he was a good employer, but now he realized how disconnected he was from the reality of those who worked for him. On the fourth day, an elderly woman who regularly walked past stopped in front of him. She handed him a bottle of water and a sandwich. "I hope things get better for you," she said with a warm smile. Marcelo thanked her sincerely. That simple act of kindness resonated more deeply than any expensive gift he had ever received. That evening, Marcelo reflected on everything he had learned. He realized that his wealth had built a wall between him and the real world. He didn't know the names of his employees, ignored the stories of those living nearby, and had forgotten what it felt like to be treated with humanity. What had started as a simple curiosity had turned into a transformative experience. On the fifth day, Marcelo decided to end his experiment. He returned home and called a meeting with his staff. "I want to hear you," he said. For the first time, he opened up a space for them to share their complaints and concerns. He discovered that many of them were valid: long hours, low pay, and a lack of recognition. Marcelo vowed to improve working conditions and, in the following weeks, implemented significant changes in his company. He also sought out Paulo, the man he had met in the park, and helped him find a job. Marcelo realized he couldn't change the entire world, but he could start by changing his own life and the lives of those around him. Want to know more about this story and many others we still have to share? Then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every day, a new story comes straight from our mysterious archive, filled with tales and accounts we've gathered from various sources. Cases with stories that will give you chills. Also, don't forget to share this video with that friend of yours who loves a good mystery.